Hey guys, welcome to Foundflix. Ash, Pablo, Kelly, Ruby, and Amanda are back. Oh, not Amanda. That's right, Season 2 is finally upon us, and it's a little early. Starz pulled a sneaky one and released the Season 2 premiere already, just as they did last year. If you haven't watched it yet, there's a link to check it out in the description, and it's free. Alright, so the Season 1 finale left a lot of questions dangling, and the story was kind of wide open about what direction things could go next season. I thought there might be a rift between the trio after Ash's selfish choice, but they choose to sideline that for the most part, picking up with the Ghost Beaters living the good life in Jacksonville before kicking right back into action. But first we see a woman running through the hallways. It's Ruby. She's frantic, clutching onto the Necronomicon, being chased by her now further grown children she unleashed last season. They seem like pretty formidable threats, but Ruby is able to escape them with the book. Now out of options, she decides to summon Ash to help her. Cut to Jacksonville, and Ash is the king of the greasiest party on the coast, including chainsawing beer kegs and uncomfortable incestuous threesome invitations.
I'm not drunk enough to know if this is good weird or bad weird.
The party is cut short when a portal opens in the sky and the evil force descends upon the revelers, taking over the mom and daughter with the classic Deadite possessed look. Ash tries to call a timeout mentioning the truce, but he's told the truce is over now, Ashy Slashy, giving us a new nursery rhyme about Ash's time in the cabin given to him by his hometown.
Ashy Slashy, hatchet and saw.
Mayhem breaks out as the Deadites attack the party, and it's up to our crew to save the day once more. It's made clear very quickly that they are intending this to be the bloodiest show on television. The sheer volume of blood associated with every kill is absolutely insane, which is obviously a good thing. It appears that Kelly will be given the most amount of blood to deal with this season. Let's see how that one plays out. Now that the truce is over, Ash intends to find Ruby and figure out what happened. Thanks to the Ashy Slashy nursery rhyme, they know they're supposed to head to his hometown, and so it's off on the road to Elk Grove, Michigan, and the birthplace of Ash. I really like the heading home direction of the story, as there's a huge chunk of Ash's history that hasn't been explored. Sending him back to his hometown is a cool way to dig deeper into his past and find out what happened after he returned from the cabin, and how the town caused him to run away. It also feels like a large part of the season will take place in Elk Grove, which will help give the story time to develop to its inevitable destruction. This will also help avoid the one location per week that plagued Season 1. By setting the story in the town, there will be a couple rotating locations each week, all in the town. Smart choice. I know you don't got a lot of money, you gotta make it work with what you got. On the way, Kelly mentions more sinkholes and an increase in violent crime. In the backseat, Pablo starts to sketch a picture of Ruby to help out in the search, but finds himself taken over, drawing a picture of the book's face, just like Ash's sis in Evil Dead. So we see that the book being on his face has some lingering effects. I'm glad that we will see that have an impact on Pablo this season and not completely forgotten about. Back at his childhood home, Ash explores the decaying surroundings and has a close encounter with his dad. That's right, our first glimpse of Ash's papa, Brock Williams, played by Lee Majors. They obviously haven't seen each other in a while, and things aren't exactly rosy between them.
Some things never change.
Still the victim with you, huh?
Ash has lingering issues from the post-cabin time, feeling his dad should have backed him up more. But Brock is unsurprisingly a hard ass, saying Ash is always blaming someone else. He knew what happened to him and should have set the people who didn't believe him straight. But instead, Ash ran away with his tail between his legs. This exchange is quite telling of the relationship between them. It seems that Brock actually did believe Ash and his story about chopping up his pals, but Brock wanted Ash to be a man to stand up for himself. However, Ash just ran away instead of dealing with the problem. As a result, his dad had to deal with the aftermath and figure out how to piece his life back together. Ash being a coward had a huge impact on his life and is kind of Ash's biggest character flaw. They head to the quaint downtown area to split up and ask about Ruby, but Ash is accosted by a homeless guy, and we see another instance of the book's effect on Pablo. The words change on the man's sign from please to the book's face. Ash enters a bar greeted by a quickly hushed silence when he enters. We meet Linda, an old flame of Ash's who works there. Guess he has a thing for that name, and also meet her husband, the sheriff. As soon as he came on screen and was revealed to be Linda's husband, I was sitting there chanting, he's gonna die, he's gonna die, he's gonna die, over and over to myself. It's just a matter of time. Probably in the episode we saw clips from where Ash is in jail and Ruby shows up with a boomstick shooting that skinless guy. Ash probably gets caught doing something involving the Deadites, people end up dead, and without any kind of evidence, he winds up behind bars. Then the evil shows up at the prison and the sheriff dies. To make his eventual fate more abundantly obvious, he makes Ash look like a total fool in front of the whole bar. Ash does summon up the courage to stand up for himself this time, saying he's there to save the town, showing the picture and asking about Ruby, but they just laugh at him and he leaves dejected. all these people are probably also going to die, and they have no idea. The evil is coming, folks. Pablo walks the streets alone, seeing the same homeless guy from earlier, now levitating at the end of the alley, and suddenly he floats away. Pablo pulls a gun out heading after him, and he is greeted by a full-on vision. Ruby is floating in the air, looking all The Grudge-like. She's holding the book, and the cover flies off and back onto Pablo's face. He pulls at it, ripping off his flesh in the process, and it looks really sick. Definitely the top effect shot in the episode. It's just so gory. I love it! Kelly snaps him back to reality as Ash joins them. Pablo tells them what he saw, and when he mentions a building with 2 big smokestacks, Ash knows just where to go: the crematorium. We find out that ever since Ruby put the book on Pablo, he's been having nightmares while awake. He's afraid and doesn't know what's happening, and we don't either. I have a feeling the book has its own plans for Pablo, which we'll probably see paid off in that one scene glimpsed in the trailer where he's looking all crazy. They enter the crematorium and split up again to track down Ruby, and the rest of the episode is pretty much an extended action sequence as each encounter Ruby's kids. It does appear that these creatures will be the main form of the evil seen this season, rather than the typical Deadite appearance. They establish more about what the kids are capable of, like turning into smoke and some quite weird stuff with their bodies. 2 things I wanted to point out from these scenes. As one kid gets closer to Pablo, the Brujo's necklace spins to life. The kid gets right up on him, sniffing all around him but not attacking. And when we see the creature's POV, the corner appears empty. So the necklace is protecting Pablo, making it so the kid can't see him, but it sure knows something is there. I'm glad to see the Brujo mythology develop more, as much wasn't done with it last year, and I am curious to see how they exploit the necklace's power down the line to deal with the kids. Should be interesting. Another important character beat occurs when Kelly gets trapped in this chamber filling with water. She reaches through the murky waters and pulls out an evil doppelganger version of herself. It says that she should lead and is smarter than Ash, telling her to join them. Kelly replies with gunfire, shooting the walls. Blood starts to drip out, then pour out of the walls, filling the chamber. See? More blood for Kelly. But I think what the doppelganger says to Kelly will be her main arc for this season. She knows she's smarter than Ash, but chooses to continue following him as he makes more and more blunders. I think this will have to come to a head, and Kelly will set off for revenge on her own at odds with Ash. Ash discovers Ruby hiding behind a pipe, and he wants to know why she broke their truce. She says she didn't have an option. Her children have turned on her and want the book. Ash isn't too sympathetic, and even less so when she asks for his help. One of her kids appears and takes her away to another room. Ruby is now surrounded by 3 of them, and Ash sees this, thinking she can handle herself, deciding to hang back.
Well, Ruby's a big girl. I'm sure she can handle herself.
They take the book from Ruby, which turns out to be a fake. They demand to know where the real one is, stabbing a claw deep into her. Guess Ash was wrong, and after she spots him, feels obligated to help her out. He blows 2 away, leaving one behind, dishing out a nice chainsaw roundhouse, stabbing into the kid. But it is unaffected, tossing Ash, and its skin quickly heals. So these are definitely going to be a harder opponent than the classic Deadeyes. Those you could just chop out without too much trouble, but these a-holes can heal themselves and turn into smoke and stuff. I hope our heroes get upgraded weapons down the line to take these guys out, like enchanted bullets or something, I don't know. The kid descends upon Ash, telling him this is where it ends, Hefe, and Ruby takes a dagger, stabbing him, saving Ash, and the others quickly leave. Ash and Ruby find themselves at a standstill, Ruby still holding the dagger in her hand. She reluctantly returns it to Ash, saying, "Told you could trust me." Pablo and Kelly arrive ready to take down Ruby, but Ash gets them to back off. They ask for the book, but she won't tell them where it is unless they help her. Ash checks in with them, and of course K and P don't want to help Ruby, but he decides to do it anyway, rationalizing they can get this thing sorted and back to Jacksonville by Friday. Whatever you say, bud. We'll see about that. So with that, Ash declares it's time to save the world, and the adventure ends this week with a surprising new alliance with the Dark One, Ruby. Well, it was pretty much spoiled a while ago, but still surprising for the story to go that way. It's cool to see a character that was evil being forced to team up with the Ghost Beaters to take down a bigger threat, which will no doubt show up soon in the new character Ball. And by her being closer to our group, we'll hopefully get to see more of Ruby's past as well, and find out when she became a Dark One, or if she always has been. The premiere has a very strong main story established for the season already, and this is a huge step up from where season 1 was, where the story definitely took some time to find footing. This was a really exciting beginning, and it looks like this season has a chance to surpass season 1's success. and we don't really have a good idea of where things will go from here, as the majority of the footage seen in the trailer is all in the first episode. It's exciting that we don't have a good idea of what's coming, but I'm sure it's going to be bloody. I did check out the titles for the season's episodes, but there's nothing too obvious from the simple titles. There is one called Ashy Slashy, and I think we'll see a lot more of the past come to the surface here. There's also Home Again, which sounds like it could be entirely set in Ash's childhood home as he is terrorized by the evil. Kind of like The Cabin, but taking more advantage of his past and set in the old house. As well as the season finale being called Second Coming. Well, that doesn't sound good no matter what. I'm gonna guess that's the second coming of the evil, and at a grander scale than we could possibly imagine. I think it's going to wind up being Ruby again they have to face rather than Ball, but I could be wrong. And finally, I am excited to see Ivan Raimi wrote episode 4, DUI. So I'm sure that will be excellent, even though I have absolutely no idea what's going to be in it. All right, that'll do it for the first episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. What did you think of the premiere? Are you excited to see Ruby team up with Ash and the gang? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Found Flicks. See you next time.